Previously on The Business.
Balls Visual Radio with Kriya and Ian. The Business is brought to you by FNB Business Banking. And today I'm very, very, very excited because it's our first tech show. And, well, I love my gadgets. I absolutely love them.
We know this.
I know. We sat in a pre sort of show meeting a couple of days ago and said, what are we going to talk about when it comes to tech? And one of the things that has been interesting me no end, because everyone's talking about it, is 3D printing. Now, obviously, we want to put a business spin on this, and we want to find out how this potentially could help your business, if at all. So we got hold of Bernard, who is from 3D Printer. Bernard, first of all, welcome to the show. It is great to have you here today. I'm literally drooling at the things in front of you over there. Welcome. How are you doing?
Yeah, well, thank you yourself. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a very great pleasure. First of all, tell us exactly what is 3D printing?
Look, basically, it's a way of making stuff by adding material to layers. So it's building parts layer by layer using various different methods. Okay, so just about any geometry you can think of, you can build up this way by simply slicing an object.
Now, what kind of materials are available for use in 3D printing?
It's amazing. The materials have progressed so much. We've got basically starting at plastics. Plastic is the most common materials. We got ceramics, we got wax, we got even direct metal printers today that can print the solid steel parts here.
How do you print a piece of steel?
Yeah. Look, it's simpler than what you think. It's basically it prints from a powdered metal, and using a high powered laser to sinter every layer. So it sinters the entire layer. And then spreads a new layer of powder and continues to sinter on top of that. So one layer on top of the other, basically.
And so, obviously, what's happening in the background is that you're designing something beforehand in 3D.
Correct.
On, I'm assuming, a CAD style system.
Yeah.
And that's obviously very specific towards that printer. And then you're telling the printer, go for it.
But yes, basically you need a 3D model. But in the past, it's always been CAD. We've had so much development in 3D lately. Everything is 3D. But you're getting apps which kids can use to just drag and drop and make toys. And it's become so simple. You don't have to be a 3D expert anymore.
When did this come onto the market? How long has it been around?
It's almost 30 years now that it's been available. It's just not been affordable, or even by the biggest companies, it's just been out of reach. And I would say in the last 5 years, it's become so affordable that you can have it in your own home. That's how affordable it's become.
What's affordable?
Affordable, you're looking at between up 10,000 Rand upwards, and we will definitely see in the next couple of months or so even cheaper than that, looking at about 5,000 Rand.
For a printer.
For a printer, yeah.
And what is the what does plastic cost to I was going to say, what does the ink cost? I suppose it is
material.
the
It
material.
depends very much which technology you're looking at. If you're looking at your home-based printers or your hobby printers, you're looking about 300 Rand a kilogram. Okay. If you look at, we've got these castles here. They're pretty big. You get about 20 or 30 of them out of a...
Just hold it up to the camera there so folks can perhaps have a look at that. The amazing thing about that little turret or little castle that you're holding there is from the outside it looks as though it's got some windows and some doors, but if you actually look, just turn the top of it to the camera, you can see there's a staircase and it spirals inside.
Correct.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about 3D printers. You can build stuff you cannot do any other way. There's no way to make this object except by 3D printing.
Now, Bernard, I'd like to know about it from a business point of view. I'd like to know how businesses have bought into this technology. You came in here and had a little smile when I said to you, is it doing well? Because obviously it's a business that's absolutely flying and people are taking interest in it. How is South African business taking advantage of the technology that you're providing to them with 3D printing?
Look, it's about product development. The main focus of 3D printing has always been engineering. Okay, and if the engineer's developed a new product, he wants to get it to market as quickly as possible. And in the past, to make prototypes, you either had to send it out. It takes months to get a simple prototype made, and it's not always accurate to drawing because it's either handmade or so. So with a 3D printer, you can literally overnight have a design done, test it, check it, make sure everything fits. If it doesn't work, change it and print another one. And that's reduced lead times from months to days, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and that's only one aspect of business. There's so many other businesses taking advantage. Jewelry, architects, artists, sculpture, list goes on. There's so many applications.
You have you've obviously got a great business in terms of the fact that you're offering this service to the general public. However, I see a time when, as you're mentioning now, it's going to become easier, more accessible. Tell us about the 3D printer business that you guys have. You're selling these units to the public, and you're also about to go into retail as well. How's that all working out?
Yeah, up to now, it's been a printer hasn't been the most user-friendly appliance, you could say. You have to be really technical to operate it, and and we're seeing a definite change where it's becoming a more consumer kind of machine. We're at that level now where we were 20 years ago with a laser printer, for instance. Nobody had a laser printer, nobody could afford one, and they've just become so affordable and so easy to operate, and that's what it's all about. It has to be ease of use. And that's why we're seeing them going into retail stores.
What do you think? What do you think it's going to land at? You mentioned a figure of around 10,000 rand. Do you think that's what?
Yeah, we're sitting at about the 10,000 rand mark now for an entry level machine.
So in about 5 years from now, you can pick one up for 2,999, basically.
Yeah, it's going to as demand increases and obviously production increases. Machines will definitely become cheaper.
I have a question now. When it comes to designing something like this, okay, now you mentioned that you can actually also print metal and metal figures or structures or whatever the case is. How does that work with copyrights now?
That's a bit of a dodgy subject. Yeah, look, at the moment with your entry level market, you can reproduce stuff, but you cannot reproduce them to exact original objects. Okay, so in that regard, we're still safe on copyrights, but a high-end machine, I can produce something that looks exactly like a manufactured object. There is talk about writing into the actual files and stuff, copyright material, that the printers will recognize and not be able to print certain items. But if you can draw it yourself, design it yourself, you can print it.
So technically I wouldn't be able to print myself a new car.
We're not there yet.
Well, it's funny you mention that because I read an article a while ago, and this was a good sort of 8-9 months ago, of a guy who is printing himself an Aston Martin DB5 piece by piece.
Yep.
I mean, okay, copyright. I get it. It's illegal. However, they are doing that. That brings all sorts of interesting things into play, because when something is developed and it's brilliant and people are loving it, all of a sudden there are going to be a million different reproductions of that. And that's a concern, I suppose, going forward as well. It really is a big concern.
It's a concern, but look, 3D printing, it's another way of making stuff.
Right.
So it's not like you couldn't make an Aston Martin replica before, just with other methods.
Right.
So yes, 3D printings make it easier to do that. But it's just another way, and as long as it doesn't get commercialized, if he tries to sell his Aston Martins
then it's a problem.
online, it's a problem.
What about things like firearms? I heard that there was somebody who reproduced or made a 3D printed handgun.
Yes.
What about that?
Look, it's a problem, but you know, there are easier ways to make a handgun.
Right.
There are much easier ways to make a handgun than to 3D print it. It's cool to be able to 3D print something out of full plastic. But I don't see that being a problem because you can take a pipe and a firing pin and make one anyway. Yeah.
I'd like to talk about the medical applications of 3D printing. Somebody said to me the other day that they had a crown printed in their dentist's office. Now, this is something which I just marvel at because it used to be a case of you'd have to take an imprint of your teeth around you, then they'd build something up, then they'd send it off to the lab, then they'd make it, then they'd come back, then they'd find out if it fitted, grind it down. Now it's done in the dentist's office. Is that done via 3D printing?
That's correct, yes. Look, again, your software has become very specialized. We've got specialized software to design your crown, so all you need is a 3D scan of your mouth. In the past we took a plaster cast, now we've got a intraoral scanner that scans inside your mouth.
Yep.
And the software does it all for you, and you print and you go.
Absolutely amazing. Bernard, it's very kind of you to come in. I think you've explained some of those questions, or answered some of those questions that I had very well. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask if we can take those little figurines that you've printed and maybe take a photograph of them just to pop them up on the website,
Yeah.
just so you can see exactly what we're talking about. Do you want to give us your business details if people want to get a hold of you?
Yeah, okay. We are CAD House. We're in Centurion. You can have a look at our website, www.3d-printer.co.za.
Okay. And are you on Twitter?
Yes, Twitter handle is 3D Printer SA.
Okay, it's as simple as that. 3D Printer SA or www.3d-printer.co.za. Good stuff. I'm going to go away and think what I can make with 3D printing.
I like the jewelry thought of that.
What's the most interesting thing you've ever been asked to make?
Yeah, no,
You mean you would prefer not to say?
Yeah, no, there's been
We
a couple
can
of
make
interesting
a
ones.
life-size figure of me.
That's a great idea.
That we can do.
Bernard, thank you very, very much.
The Business. Weekdays 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. On balls.co.za. Brought to you by FNB Business Banking.